Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nazir, page 4, which tells us a famous story which we also saw in the previous tractate, where there was a great rabbi by the name of Shimon HaTzadik, that he typically would never partake of any sacrifice that was made by this person who we're learning about, who is a Nazir. And he's very concerned that perhaps when it comes to this individual, maybe he may not be entirely sincere or maybe have regret for having made such a vow. However, he says there was one time that he made an exception, and that was an individual who happened to be a shepherd, and he was cutting his hair, and it says that he was exceptionally handsome. He had beautiful locks of hair, and he started to cut his hair. And they asked him, they said, "Why are you doing this? Why did you choose to become a Nazir?" Which, of course, again, includes the ritual of having the hair grow and then cutting it. So why did you do this? So he said, "I'll tell you, I was walking, and I eventually came to this body of water, and I looked upon it, and I was able to see my reflection. And once I was able to see how handsome I was by gazing upon my reflection, all of a sudden, this great desire within me was awoken, and I wanted to go and commit all types of sins due to my beauty. And because of that, I made the declaration that I will be a Nazir, and I said, I have no right to be able to act like this, because he says, how could you act so haughty and so disrespectful in a world that's not yours? This is God's world, and the fact is that God gave me the blessing and the gift of life, and for me to also take the beauty, which is also a gift from God, and to misuse it, that I cannot do." And he says, eventually, my physical beauty will fade anyway. So therefore, he cut his hair, and on this, Shimon HaTzadik said, like you, there should be more Nazirim, more people who accept upon this vow among the Jewish people. And we see from here two unbelievable points. One point is that this man apparently did not even recognize or know how handsome he was. It wasn't until he eventually came upon a reflection of his own face, which shows maybe on a typical level, people didn't constantly gaze upon themselves in a mirror. But it also shows, even though that seems to be normal routine, that this person didn't do it at all until this point, which shows, again, how he was not focused on the physical. It was not something in which was important to him. He didn't constantly stare at the mirror. He did not even know what he looked like until later on, until he finally just happened, not that he wanted to, but he gazed upon a reflection of himself, which then itself shows the greatness and how far sometimes we are. Of course, we're supposed to look presentable, and we have to make sure that we look proper, especially as ambassadors of the Torah. But at the same time, we should not allow that to become so important that it takes over everything else, which is so much more valuable. But again, the second message over here is that this man made a commitment. Instead of using his beauty for something negative, he said, I'm not going to use this at all. Instead, I'm going to make sure that I am focused and dedicated to that which is proper. And we have to know ourselves. We have to recognize our own shortcomings and understand that if we do certain things, it could lead us down a certain path. And we should therefore learn from this person, not necessarily become a Nazir, but to recognize that whatever we do should be done in a proper way.